Hello and welcome to 3ds Max video tutorial. We're going to be covering the texturing basics. Now, this time we're going to be texturing your room that you created last week, such as the floors, walls, doors, windows and things like that. So before you begin, please make sure you have got your 3ds Max room open, and also there are some texturing files available on Moodle in a folder. Which I'll have the name on the board for you of what that's called. Please make sure you have all those ready before you begin the video. We are going to show you a few different techniques. There is a drag and drop technique, and I'll go through one by one. So let's get 3ds Max open and we'll get started. All right, so here is the room that I created last week. Now, in order to show you the drag and drop feature of the texturing, which literally you can drag it from the folder that you have your textures saved in and put directly onto an object in your scene. So get the folder open, and I'm going to just show you an example of concrete. So literally I have that concrete image there. So I'm going to just left click and drag that over and put it straight onto the floor. Now, if it doesn't show you in the scene, I'm just going to minimize that. If it doesn't show you in the scene straight away, we're going to go and zoom in a little bit and go to the rendered button here. So that's the shaded teapot. And we're just going to, oops, I think I double click that. So I'm just going to click that once and press render. And as you can see, it's now showed you in that viewport, which is fantastic. All right, so I'm just going to minimize that. So whatever you have in your scene, and you can tell which one you've selected, the viewport, it's going to have a yellow box around it. So you can zoom in and rotate it a little bit. Maybe get the window in there. And I'm going to hit render again. I'm going to have to press that render button. And as you can see, it shows you exactly, or it renders exactly what's in that viewport there. So now I'm just going to close that down. The only problem is with the dragging and dropping is if you were to have an object, I'm just going to quickly draw a box for you so I can show you. I'm going to do 30 by 30 by 30. So I have this box here, and if I wanted to make it a cardboard box, for example, so I have a cardboard box texture here, and I'm just going to drag that over and put it on there. As you can see, it's not what I'd call a cardboard box, but it's got the image on it, which is no good. So in this particular instance, we're going to have to do what they call UV unwrapping, which basically this cardboard box will become opened up, as you can see in that image there. So we're going to get this box opened to match that image. So I'm going to just press Ctrl Z and that'll take that image away from it. And we're going to go over to the modifier panel, and on the modifier drop down list we are going to go to unwrap UVW. There we go. So from here, we're going to make sure we have the polygon selected. So if you press Ctrl A on your keyboard, it will select the whole object. And then we're going to click Open UV Editor. So from here, now we have the tools at the top, which is the Move tool, the Rotate, and the Scale, which matches the ones at the top of your toolbar. And then we have the vertices, edges, and polygons, which match up with the ones on your selection under here. So from here, we're going to select mapping, and just going to unfold it. So unfold mapping. And I've deselected the polygon. So make sure you have all that selected again. And here we go again. Unfold, and we're just going to accept all those there. As you can see, it brings out or it unwraps that model here. Just going to turn Steam off. Don't get any more pop-ups there. Right. So from here, we are going to come over to this drop-down box and pick our texture. And then we're going to select bitmap. So if you double click it, and I'm going to use this cardboard texture again. As you can see, it's put it in there. So now we need to map this UV unwrap with our texture. Now you can zoom in using the middle button on your mouse, or the scroll wheel. I'm just going to make sure that's lined up lovely. That looks okay. So anything outside of this box will not render. So when we hit rendered earlier and we got the image, it will not render in that scene. So from there, we've matched it up, and we're going to press M to open our material editor. So now we need to drag the standard material, and if you right click on where it says material number, whatever, maybe number 1 standard, if you right click it and rename, we're just going to put it, or rename it, cardboard material, and press enter. And from here, the diffuse color, which is the color that we're going to put on, you're just going to drag this node out. So if you click on that circle or the node here, and just drag it out and let go, I'm going to select bitmap again. And then once more, our cardboard texture. So we're going to drag the right node over to our box. And nothing's appeared, so we need to make sure we right click on the bitmap that you've put in and select show shaded material in viewport. So it'll basically show this material in this viewport, like so. And as you can see, it's put it on exactly how I wanted it this time, rather than just the straight standard up material where you can see the actual box itself here. It now looks like a cardboard box. So I'm just going to minimize these. We're going to hit that render button and hit render again. And as you can see, that's a lovely little cardboard box there. Now, if you do have some white lines here, maybe you've not matched it up correctly, then you'll just need to go and restore your edit UVs and just realign it. Now be careful, like you can see me, I've done here, I've just selected, so I've got one polygon selected. As you can see, that side, I've just stretched it, which is no good. So make sure you Control Undo. And then press Control A to select it all before you even move any of those. So if I put it there, for example, as you can see, there's the whites. So Control A to select all. And then just move it over where it needs to be. Lovely. All right, so we're going to close those down. So what's next? Then we're going to do some chrome material. So where I have this green screen, you may have a green screen with some poles coming down, or you may have some chrome on table legs or a chair or anything else that you may have in your room. So for now, I'm just going to put a teapot in the room. I'm going to place it here. Now, I've just chosen a teapot just for now, just so I can show you this chrome material. if you don't have anything in your room at the minute, then go to the Create panel here, choose Teapot, just put a little teapot in there for now. You can always save the material, and then once you've got that material, you can use it on anything you create afterwards. So from here, we are going to open our material editor once more. So press M on the keyboard. Now we can just scroll or use our middle mouse button to click and drag to an empty space. And you can see here in the navigator panel where you're selected. So you can see which view you're exactly in by pressing anywhere. So you could just click anywhere and it'll give you a little bit of space. So we're going to drag out the standard material again. I'm going to rename that to Chrome material and press OK. So from here, we need to get to the material parameters. So we're going to double click where it says Chrome Material Standard, and this will take you to the parameters panel here. Right, so from here we're going to double click on the diffuse panel or the diffuse swatch. So if you just double click on that color next to it, we're going to change this value to 12 and press enter. As you can see, it's changed the color on that slightly, or quite a bit actually. So from here, we're going to change the specular level. So as you can see, just below that diffuse, we're going to go to specular level here. And we're going to change that to 150. And then we're going to tab down. Actually, we're going to go to glossiness and select 80. And we're going to leave the softener as 0.1. Now we're going to go to the maps rollout panel. So if you click on the plus or minus, you can get to the maps rollout panel. And now we're on the rollout panel, we're going to select or look for reflection. And we're just going to lower that down to 90. And then click on the reflection map button. Now we have the material map browser open once more, and we're going to look for ray trace. So we're just going to double click that. And as you can see, it's put the ray trace map over here. So from there, I'm going to leave that for a second. And we are just going to make sure we can zoom in a little bit. And we're going to render that image and see how it looks. Okay, so nothing yet because we haven't actually dragged this node to our teapot. So now we've done that, we're going to try once more. And wow, that's very bright. Okay. Just have another look there. Oh, it's shiny. All right. All right, if for some reason yours has done the same as mine and brought it up quite shiny, it's because the diffuse value, for some reason when we set it to 12, it didn't accept it. I'm going to press OK. And then it should be a dark color. So we're going to go to rendered frame again and just render that once more. There we go. And as you can see, it's quite shiny there. Obviously, it's reflecting the concrete from the floor, and you can see a bit of the blue and a bit of the green in there as well from the green screen and the door. Obviously, when we put some lighting in that and move that around, that'll be fine. All right, so there's your chrome material. So from here, don't forget to save your scene. So then you have that chrome material that you can add on to any other object. And to add it on to any other object, don't forget, you drag the node and put it on there. Fantastic. All right, so we have our teapot, our cardboard box, and our floor. So I'm just going to do one more, I think. So from here, we have the floor's not so bad. I mean, obviously it depends on what material you choose to put in it. And don't forget to do your windows and doors and everything else. So in 3ds Max, we have, or we can use what we call diffuse maps, which you've seen us use on the material editor. So from the material editor, when we've dragged up the diffuse color and put in a normal color in, that's what our diffuse is. It's just our basic color that we can put on it. But we also have specular color, which a specular map is used to define the surface shininess. So basically it'll make the surface a little bit shiny and reflective for you. And then we have a bump map, which is used to add bumps and wrinkles. So for example, on this concrete floor, you can see these squares. Obviously it's not going to be flat and perfect. It is going to be odd shapes here and there. The grout down, these deep parts, they're going to be quite deep, and then obviously not so bad when it comes to these little tiles here. So we can add, or you can rather make your own diffuse maps, and specular maps and bump maps. I do have some on those files that you've downloaded, which we're going to use and implement on the floor at the next. So make sure you have those ready. You at the or underneath this tutorial, if you expand this show more, there should be a link on how to create those in Photoshop. So all you need is one texture, and then you can create your own specular maps and bump maps following the tutorials that I've linked you to underneath. I think they're about 6 minutes each, but it's good if you want to do your own unique materials and bump maps. So I'm going to use or implement the ones that I have. And for this, we are just going to need a bit of a space. So I'm just going to move those up here. We're going to select a blank space there. So we're going to drag out a standard material. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to put our normal color on there. So we're going to drag out that node from diffuse. I'm going to select bitmap. We are going to put our wood color in there. So we're going to drag this node over to our floor. And that'll take away that concrete or whatever you decided to put on your floor. And then we're going to make this show shaded material in viewport. As you can see, it looks a bit better than the concrete, but it does look a little bit flat at the moment. So we're going to just render that scene. And there you go. It's got quite a little bit of detail. It looks like it has a little bit of detail. It's not flat completely, but we're going to add a bit more in there. So I'm just going to close that down. So now we're going to add our specular color. We're going to go choose bitmap again. And we're going to go to our wood spec here. So I'm just going to change these parameters a little bit. And then we're going to add our bump image in. So drag the bump node and select bitmap. And for this one, we're going to choose this here, wood norm. And then if you go down to the map rollout panel, we're just going to increase the bump to say 50. And then we're going to render that image there. As you can see, the level of the detail is a little bit more increased. Now you may not notice a huge difference, but you can see a difference. And there is how to put your diffuse, specular and bump maps in there. So as I said, if you want to do any of those yourself, there are the tutorials linked in below. So please feel free. So that should give you all that you need to texture your room. So if you can get those walls done and the skirting boards and possibly the doors as well, that'd be fantastic. And then we have a few other tasks to complete, which should be on the board for you. All right, thank you very much.